Welcome back. In today's episode, we're breaking down all different ways that you can monetize different roles in your company, in your business, so that each and every person that you invest in is able to contribute back and you can all live in harmony together, right? In order to have a sustainable, profitable business, there has to be a monetization plan for your people. And in order to scale a business, you're going to require having a team, right? So these things go hand in hand and they're absolutely essential. You want to make sure that the people that you invest in have a path and have a monetization plan and have clarity around what the expectation is to contribute in their role. And, one of the most important things for you to communicate openly and honestly about consistently and frequently in your company is that you are a small business, and that in order for your business to stay in business, it is important for everyone to understand their path to contribution and to make sure that they're able to achieve those objectives regularly. And this is where leadership comes in, because most small business owners don't want to talk about the money. They don't want to talk about the numbers. They don't want to talk about the targets, the accountability. And a lot of times it's too little too late. By the time they're having that conversation, people are already deeply rooted in bad habits and too long operating in their role without having structure, clarity, and cadence around how they're monetizing. And so oftentimes it just ends up being a situation that unfortunately doesn't work out for the employer or the employee. It's a huge loss when a company has to let go of an employee because they're not monetized. And it's, a huge loss for an employee that invested time and energy and trusted, your firm to join. And obviously there's lots of situations and circumstances that lead to terminations in your company. What you don't want to be the reason for terminations in your company is that you as the leader didn't have a monetization plan for your people. There's a huge difference between having a plan, communicating it clearly, investing in training, coaching, and support, and then someone not executing and not delivering on that promise, versus you as the leader not having those things in place and then after the fact being frustrated and disappointed that that person did not deliver. Two very different circumstances. And again, you want doing layoffs in your company to be something that is not a part of your company. It's not a part of the way that you go to business. You want to be able to be thoughtful and committed when you bring people on, and you want to hold people accountable every step of the way so that if they're not performing, they know that they're not performing. They also know what's expected to get back on track. They know what their deliverables are and have received proper training, coaching, and accountability to get there. And then, in that case, if someone is not the right fit, or someone does need to be let go, it's not because of a layoff, it's because of a performance concern, which in many instances does go back to being a leadership concern. But of course, there are times where it's just not the right fit. So the goal of the podcast today is to give you some ideas for ways that you can monetize various roles in your company and to kind of think as a leader about what that can look like so that you give everyone a path to contribution. And, I think one of the things, we have really good tenure across my companies. We have people that have been with us for many years and been through many seasons of different changes and growth. And I'm always looking at ways that people can not only monetize and contribute so that the company can stay sustainable and the companies can stay sustainable, but also so that they can have ways to grow their income and not just wait for an annual increase. You want entrepreneurs working for you, which means that you want people that are motivated, have their own vision, goals, and dream for their life. And therefore, you want them to have lots of different ways within the company that they can make money, whether it's a bonus plan, incentive comp, commissions, specific, performance rewards, targets, etc. Okay. So let's talk about what this can look like. First of all, let's make sure we're really, really clear. I talked about this recently in the episode that I did on the business acquisition that I went through. And one of the very first things that I noticed was that there were tons of redundancies in the staff, way too many contractors, layers upon layers of reporting that was unnecessary. And so we went from 8 fractional contractors and, part-time people and we were able to simplify and actually grow. Okay. So the first thing is knowing what you actually need in the business. To build $1 million company, for example, you are going to need most likely someone that is front of the house, sales and marketing, someone that is back of the house, operations, customer delivery, some billing support, and then you are going to need probably an outside person to run ads for you. Okay. So many people have $1 million company and they have a staff of 7 or 8. That's insane. And it's not sustainable. Okay. So depending on where your business is, think about it from the standpoint of being smart and being careful in how you're building. And, think about it from the standpoint of really making sure that you have a lean, mean, profitable machine. And you want to be really clear on what the actual needs are and who you're hiring for what, and make sure that there's redundancies in a good way, not redundancies in a bad way. Okay. So starting off, the 2 most essential roles that you're going to need are obviously going to be the front of the house and the back of the house. Front of the house, sales and marketing. How are they going to monetize? Generating consults, growing your email list, getting people to book a call with you, getting people to click a direct sales page link from social. So it's going to be social selling. And there's so many elements of sales and marketing that someone who understands your sales process is going to be a far better marketer. Someone who understands your marketing process is going to be a far better salesperson, which is why when you're getting started, having a hybrid role is so powerful, because someone that understands all elements of that is really going to make a difference. And one of the things to even add to that we've found is our best salespeople are people that have actually done the client servicing, because they intimately know and understand the product. They intimately know the customer's results. They can very clearly articulate the transformation, the journey, the process, and everything in between. But when you think about it, obviously, your front of the house person is responsible for growth. They're responsible for email list growth, social media growth, and then getting that growth to translate either into people moving to the sales page or people booking a consultation. And that consultation, if someone's just learning, can be with you. So maybe their job is to get the call booked and your job is to close the call. Or if it's a more advanced person, then they're, out there and they're booking calls for themselves. But from a sales and marketing standpoint, clicks, conversions, call bookings. If you're selling a low ticket and you don't do calls in order to sell, then, direct to a sales page conversions from marketing to paid customer, right? Back of the house, the 4 R's. Right? So if you have someone that is doing client delivery, their monetization plan should be around the 4 R's. So renewals, reactivations, referrals, retention, those, 4 things are going to be your biggest monetization factors. And even if you have someone on the back end of the business that increases your retention rate, let's say from 85% to 95%, that 10% difference is going to put a lot of money in the bank that you would have lost otherwise. And so it creates the same net effect as if that was new business. And so back at the house is really, really focused on retaining your customers, upselling your customers, renewing your customers, reactivating past customers, and of course, all of those things that go along with generating great customer results that exceed the marketing promise. Okay. And if your back of the house is too busy to cover all of those R's, I always tell people that your VA team and your operations team can also contribute to many elements of the 4Rs, because a lot of the things around the 4Rs are organizational. So for example, a lot of people don't have any structured communication to their past customers. And with past customers, a lot of times it's the organizational element of the consistency of the communication, that is really going to dictate whether or not they stay connected to the brand and end up coming back again. Once again, you or the salesperson can do the actual phone calls if a phone call is even necessary, but your ops team or your VA team can very much be responsible for staying in touch with past customers and putting together reactivation campaigns. I remember when Nicole was in her very first operations job, working for me back almost 10 years ago. She's still here now, obviously been promoted a bunch of times, done every role you can think of, and moved around. She's worked in lots of my different companies now. But her first operations role, she was responsible for reactivations, and she would send the handwritten notes, and we would pretty steadily get reactivations from that. And she wasn't in a sales role. She was in an operations and kind of billing customer support role, but that was her monetization path, and it was very successful. So if you have a VA, if you have operations team, getting those reactivations back in the door, a lot of it is organizational because know, like, trust is already there. It's more consistency and cadence of communication. That's a great pathway for either your ops team or your VA team to help with that. If you have a copywriter and you have someone that you're paying to do copy for you, obviously they should have a target for call bookings every week, right? What are they writing? And so they should be putting posts out and creating stories that are effective at getting people to click a link to book a call. So very, very simple. If you're paying someone to do copy for you, that should be one of their objectives. If you have a VA or admin, we already talked about reactivations and past customers, but also they can be helping with booking your calendar with consults as well, because there's leads that are kind of hanging out there all the time on social media. Comments that haven't been responded to, people that need, follow up in the group, people that said that they were interested in a call but never booked. One of the great things that a VA can do, again, this is organizational, it's not sales related, but it will net sales, is going back to all the people who booked calls but never had a call. Going back to all the people who, had a call, said they were interested, but never ended up buying. Going back to all the referrals that have been generated that nothing ever progressed with. Again, these are not sales skills. These are more about cadence and more about organization. So many businesses lose a significant portion of the sales that they could be making, not because they don't have the sales skill, because a lot of people think it's about sales skill. Sales is way more about consistency and frequency than it is about skill. Skill is a very tiny portion of sales. And so your admin and ops team can play a huge role in helping you get very systematic about touching past customers, touching referrals that haven't closed, following up with leads that booked but never had a call, following up with leads that gave a verbal but haven't converted. Just managing the organization of those lists and creating consistency in the communication in those areas alone will allow you to monetize those teams. Now, staying on the operations front for just a second, operations absolutely should be responsible for shopping and renegotiating vendor payments for you. And this is something that is kind of a never-ending cycle because, number one, a lot of your service providers are going to sneak in large increases every year. And so that should absolutely be a negotiating point for you and a reason to be consistently shopping around to make a change. That's number one. Number two is that when you look at what's happening in the world right now and the way that technology is moving and changing, a lot of the tools every year that you pay for, as time progresses, you will no longer need because other tools are consolidating that function into something that you're already paying for. And so we're seeing this big time right now with a lot of the tools that we once had. We're cutting massive amounts of subscriptions, rolling them in, consolidating, and saving a lot of money, but also saving a lot of time, because the less things you have to log into and the less different things you have to manage, obviously, the simpler your business is, the more streamlined and easy it's going to be to grow. So a huge piece of operations is saving money for the company. And a big part of their monetization path should be renegotiating vendors, consolidating tools, and doing the shop around to find solutions to business problems that are going to save you money. Okay. And this includes everything from your banking fees to your merchant fees to your CRM to every subscription that you're paying for. And then let's talk about people that work directly with your customers. So obviously, referrals, renewals, upsells, reactivations. I always call them the 4 R's, ascension, right? A lot of people are stuck in a cycle of constantly focusing on getting new customers when they could achieve the same outcome by keeping the customers that they had and ascending them in their own ecosystem. So when you have people that are working with your customers directly, a huge part of their monetization path should be securing the renewal, which basically doubles the lifetime value of the customer, getting them to achieve the result of the initial program, and then moving them into their secondary ascension path inside your offer suite. Okay. Marketing, obviously, we talked about this earlier, but just to reiterate, like 3 really basic things: growing your social media following, growing your email list, and then having a target on a weekly basis of converting into clicks and then conversions. And the clicks and conversions can be clicks that lead to sales call bookings, clicks that lead to direct sales conversions. Okay. Bookkeepers can help you to identify where your spend is out of whack, right? So one of the things you should empower your bookkeeper with is to kind of call you out when they see you overspending in certain areas and look for areas that you need to dial in your spend. And that's absolutely a way that they can contribute to the profitability of your company. Facebook ads. Obviously, if you work with a Facebook ads agency, you're paying a very hefty fee for someone to manage those ads on a daily basis. And obviously, it's on you to make sure that the back end delivery is going to yield you results and conversions, right? The Facebook ads person can't do that for you. But what they can do is you can work with them to continually increase the number of leads that you can get for the budget that you have while keeping the quality high. So looking at sales page conversion, landing page conversion, all the different targeting that can be done, and then giving you ideas of how you can monetize those leads, monetize that front end ad spend, so that by the time they land in your ecosystem, you've paid for those leads, right? So if you're paying a big fee to someone to run ads for you, make sure that you are enrolling them in finding solutions to not just get the leads, but to have the leads self-liquidate so that you can get to a point where you can reinvest, all of those dollars back in the business. And that's a process, but it's something that should be on your radar, and it's something that you should be working hand in hand as a team with, the person running your ads to do. Obviously, leadership should all be participating in brand building, sales, marketing, monetization on every level. They need to model the way. They need to be demonstrating in real time for your team what good looks like, right? And you want to make sure that they're boots on the ground, and that, what they're doing and how they're doing it shows the team how they can duplicate and multiply. So to recap, we talked about your salesperson. We talked about sales and marketing hybrid role. We talked about the back end of the business, really dialing in those 4 R's. We talked about operations, talked about VAs, talked about bookkeepers, right? We talked about a lot of different roles in your company. And what I will say is that where there's a will, there is always a way. And the most important thing is you need to make sure that from the job description and from the interview with each person that you bring into your organization, that they understand that monetizing their role is going to be required and important, that you communicate that in an open and honest way, that once someone comes into your organization, that their training and development plan includes the success path to monetization. And that the weekly cadence for how you manage your team includes measuring, tracking, and following up on what's working and what's not to get to those targets. Making sure that your team understands and that you have open discussions on a consistent basis about monetization and the fact that you're not a corporation, you're not venture capital backed. There's no secret bank account hiding behind, what you're doing. Getting to those targets on a monthly basis is how you're all going to stay united and grow happily and healthily as a company. And that each person just delivering their small piece of the puzzle is what's going to make the whole engine hum. So I hope from today's podcast episode, you were able to get some great ideas for things that you can put in place to help your team to monetize. Hopefully it helps you to keep more of your great team members on board and invested in growing with your company, and gives you some ideas from a leadership standpoint of how you can lead better so that you can grow faster. If you're listening to today's episode and you feel like you need to do something to kick your business into high gear, you want faster, better results, you want someone that's going to guide you through the process of creating predictable growth, I want you to DM me on social media the word mentor. And when you DM me the word mentor, a member of my team will reach out to you. We'll kind of listen and ask questions and just try to understand what challenges you're facing right now and see what solution we might have in the portfolio that may be a great support system to help you to reach your goals. So DM me the word mentor anywhere on social media. Look forward to connecting with you. And if this episode made a difference, make sure you share it with just one person that you think it can help today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next week.